Hi, I'm Terry from EverydaySober.com. Since I've been sober, I've heard many stories of what led people to become an alcoholic. A lot of the stories talked about why they drank and why they may have become alcoholics. I heard all sorts of reasons. Some talked about horrid childhoods where their family members were full-blown alcoholics. Or maybe they didn't even have a family and were stuck growing up with strangers or distant relatives that were alcoholics. Or maybe they were just on their own from a very young age and had no structure at all, no one to help them grow up and make the right decisions. Some spoke of terrible abuse situations. Others spoke of traumatic events that occurred to them. I've heard some horrific things. On the other hand, I've heard many talk about a normal life with no big reason they can think of that caused them to drink in excess. One very common thing I've heard was many didn't feel like they fit in, and alcohol helped them feel comfortable, or it helped them calm severe anxiety, or it helped them escape from some really bad feelings. Some said alcohol made them feel more confident and allowed them to be more popular or more creative. Does any of this sound familiar to you? In the couple years I've been sober, I've often thought about why I drank alcohol, and more importantly, what led me to become an alcoholic. I had a normal childhood, 2 parents, 1 brother, a cat, a dog, middle class upbringing, friends to play with. I went to high school and college. Maybe I partied more than most. Maybe I did feel uncomfortable around people. I do know that I did like to be by myself rather than go out and play. Sure, I got into a little bit of trouble. I was not abused, nor did I have any significant traumatic events occur in my life. But I don't think that any of these things led me to alcoholism. So what led me to become an alcoholic? I understand that my heavy drinking caused my brain and body to change. I understand that once my brain changed, I became dependent on alcohol just to feel normal. I understand that once I have 1 drink, I cannot stop and will constantly crave more and more alcohol. I understand that this condition will never completely change, and all I can do is control it by not having that first drink. Okay, I accept all that, but what led me to become an alcoholic? I like to drink and be drunk. Actually, I love that feeling. I've heard people talk about how they stopped liking alcohol. They just got to the point where they just needed it. Not the case with me. I loved alcohol until the very end. What I didn't love was the consequences that my alcohol abuse produced. Was I always an alcoholic, or did I slowly become one? What made me become an alcoholic? Well, I do know that I liked the feeling alcohol gave me. Alcohol did make me feel more comfortable with other people. I also know that from very early on, I almost always wanted more alcohol once I started. But I was always able to stop until the last few years. So what events led me to become an alcoholic? Well, I had my first drink when I was 11 years old, but didn't really start drinking again until high school. In high school and college, a lot of time was spent partying with alcohol and other stuff, but I was still able to get decent grades. During that time, I was always a chef, and that's what I continued to do throughout my career. I married soon out of college. I continued to party quite a bit, but still lived a productive life. Maybe I drank more than most people, as I had alcohol almost on a daily basis. But usually I didn't get hammered, just a few beers or some wine. Every once in a while I did drink in excess. I was not that often. This went on for a couple of decades. Eventually I found that I wanted more and more alcohol. That didn't mean I was getting more drunk. I think it just meant my tolerance was going up. I remember that the days I was sober, I was almost constantly thinking about the next drink. As time went on, I found I started to need alcohol. Not constantly, but at least daily. I could get away with it as my wife and friends were all drinkers, so it was okay. This lasted a few years, but as my tolerance went up, I didn't want people to know how much I was drinking. So I started to hide it. I'd sneak drinks, I'd hide bottles. The effort I went through to hide my drinking was crazy. I became a pro at hiding and lying. Eventually I had to be drunk all the time. Otherwise I would go through terrible detox. My entire life revolved around me drinking and making sure I wouldn't run out of alcohol. I drove away my friends, drove away my wife, stayed away from my family, quit my job, and I got into some legal trouble, all due to my alcohol consumption. I just existed for alcohol. So were there events that led to my alcoholism? Well, I just listed a few, but I don't know if they were the cause. I think they were more the result. Maybe I was an alcoholic from the start, or maybe it kicked in later when I got to the point where I needed it. Whatever happened, my alcohol consumption changed my brain to where I needed it to survive. At least that's what I thought. The fact is that it doesn't matter what led me to become an alcoholic. It just matters that I am an alcoholic, and I need to make sobriety my top priority in my life if I want to keep my alcoholism in check and live a happy, sober life. Maybe you can relate to the things I went through that led me to become an alcoholic. Let me know in the comments below what happened to you. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Everyday Sober, for more videos on alcoholism and sobriety. Click the bell at the top to be notified of my new videos. We also have a forum at everydaysober.com/go/ where you can join a community of people that are also trying to get and stay sober. We can help each other. I use lots of tips and tools to help me stay sober, and I want to share these with you. Let me know what tools you use, and let's get and stay sober together. I'm Terry, a recovered alcoholic, and thank you for letting me share with you.